Before beginning this assignment, please read the assignment sheet. It's on Blackboard, and this is a super abbreviated presentation of images, much shorter than you would have if I was in class with you. Ceramic forms with visible interiors and exteriors have existed for millennia in both functional and sculptural manifestations, and it's time for you to add to that long history. The assignment sheet discusses what's expected from you in response to this prompt. Please read it carefully because it outlines the requirements. So what are your sources of inspiration? Could you find ways to integrate them into this assignment, or is this an opportunity to add something new to your visual vocabulary? Let's take a look at some examples of work by artists who have traveled this path before you. These thrown and altered landscape bowls explore the relationship between inside and outside, and they reward the viewer who takes the time to move around them with a surprise. From various angles, the interior and the exterior imagery line up perfectly. So how are you going to get your audience to slow down and spend time with your work? And what will you reward them with? In these wares, the reward is a richness of vibrant graphic imagery and unexpected form. Rich color, and notice that a bowl doesn't have to be round to be a bowl. And color isn't the only way to connect the inside with the out. Black and white can be just as effective. Strong form and contrast can also serve to connect inside and out and bottom with top. And the possibility of integrating negative space, which allows the viewer's eyes to easily connect interior and exterior space, can be explored as well. From these industrially designed, mass-produced objects, let's return to the work of some humble studio potters. This artist enjoys drawing and using narrative imagery on the surface. This artist is sensitive to the undulations in volume and the fluidity in the edges of her lips and contours. The altering of thrown forms to emphasize the gestural presence can also be seen in these poked and prodded stacked bowls. Please note the stark contrast between the bare porcelain and the fluid celadon glaze. I find these altered thrown forms amazing. I'd love to serve up some punch with them and light those candles on that flower bowl. There's so much to discover in these. I think she really rewards her audience with a Baroque sensibility. You might consider adding to your form, elevating your form. These feet elevate this bowl and allow you to see the interior and heighten the contrast between the interior wet and the exterior dry. In these forms, the narrative sculpted and painted on the exterior continues on into the interior, and while perhaps more a vase than a bowl, their tilted opening invites us inside to contemplate their story. These connect the inside and out by juxtaposing forms and surface, with their added bird silhouettes that have a visual as well as conceptual connection with the nest. In this forceful integration of the human figure with the gestural whirlpool of clay, it leads us both around the piece as well as us into the piece. It's also possible to imply a human presence without actually sculpting a figure. Through the inclusion of objects that humans use, like in this case an empty boat, you see a sense of presence with also a sense of absence. While we tend to build things hollow with clay to get it through the firing process, it certainly has a natural ability to suggest mass, and a weighty mass at that. These quite large pieces explore a mysterious thread between geology and archaeology, between the human touch and natural growth. In these, every alteration of the exterior contour has a corresponding impact on that of the interior. And these, I think of these as being inspired by architecture. I think of these maybe being inspired by Frank Gehry's crazy planes, if you've seen the Bilbao Guggenheim or the Disney Opera House. They're a wild juxtaposition of edges and planes and concave and convex that keep the eye following the contours of these forms. Now, the inside and outside relationship in this basket is a direct revelation of its construction process. There's a complexity as well as a comforting use of color that holds the viewer. This piece seems to imply something's happened, an act maybe dropping a slab. It probably wasn't made that way, but it's, that sense of motion is certainly emphasized by the way that in the reduction firing process the edges got this nice toasty brown. Revealing an understanding of natural forms without slavishly copying an abalone shell, Malia leads us to find the work credible but also intriguing. I think I know what this is, but hey, what's that? This artist understands nature and her ability to expand that vocabulary. You may notice that we saw this artist a few minutes ago and note her more exaggerated and free sensibility in these constructions. Inspired by geology, rocks, and geodes, this artist offers a stark contrast between the free-form rocky surface and the hard-edged geometric interior. Another artist exploring the geode concept patterns the interior with his highly detailed mandala pattern. And referencing process, repetition of form in this work, the small bowls are stacked and then glazed and fired together to glue them together. Another artist exploring the process was the student Randy Bricko, who took these thrown forms and altered their axis and added extruded rods that related the inside and outside in a very direct way. And a friend of his sort of riffed on his idea, sharpened the points, opened the forms up all the way through, inviting the viewers to visually pass through to the other side. So how will you meet this challenge? You need to visually and perhaps conceptually tie together the exterior and the interior of your open forms. It's a challenge, but one I think you're ready to meet. Let's go.